back to Eastern Medicine Journey Through Asia. I'm your host, Charlene Bollinger. In the last episode, Ty and our team shared some amazing information from Philippines. After their last interview in Manila with Dr. Navarro, they headed to the airport and caught a 3.5-hour flight across the South China Sea and landed in Singapore. It's hard to believe, but this was the only country where they were even stopped by customs. And a simple registration of Bryce's drone with Singapore police took care of that. It must have been Ty's USA flag shirt that he was wearing that caught their attention. To begin with, here are a few interesting facts about Singapore. Despite its nickname, the Lion City, there were never any lions in Singapore. Singapore is a city, a capital, and a state all at once, making it one of only 3 city-states in the world, along with Monaco and the Vatican City. Singapore is one of the world's leaders in the number of death sentences, mostly to drug dealers. Chewing gum is banned in Singapore, except for those with a medical prescription. The average life expectancy in Singapore is 83.1 years, ranking 3rd in the world behind Japan and Switzerland. And breast cancer is the most common cancer, accounting for 33% of cancers in women. Are you ready? Please grab a notebook and pen or your iPad and get ready to travel and learn alongside Ty and our team in Singapore. Their first interview was with an amazing doctor named Siddharthas Annamalai, who is a very high-functioning autistic medical doctor.
Dr. Sundaras Annamalai. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Close enough?
Close enough.
Thanks for inviting us to your office.
Thank you for the opportunity, Ty.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been having some fun here, joking around. So it's a loose atmosphere.
Yep.
But it's definitely not a subject that it's not a joking subject that we're talking about today.
Yeah.
But I do want to get you to share, if you could, with our viewing audience a little bit about what got you involved in medicine, and specifically in researching cancer. You shared with us a story about your mother.
Starting off, I was born with congenital birth defects, so surgery started at 6 months. They went on to rebuild my face over the next few years. By the time I was 6-7 years old, I was effectively hearing handicapped, speech disabled, brain damaged, and Asperger's, autistic. So it was an interesting situation. I started figuring my way out. Then at about 14, my mom died of cancer, and I decided I would find a cure for cancer. Sounds a bit arrogant put that way, but I kept real quiet about it. But I figured that if you're going to find a cure for something like that, you can't do it the normal way. Because if you did it, they would have found it already. So I went on to do degrees in physics first. And I was figuring out that if we could do assessments of the energy system of the human body, you could see things before it became biochemical. And that started off this whole approach about looking at the mesenchymal matrix, looking at cellular function and biochemistry, but from an energetic perspective.
To me, it doesn't sound arrogant. You're a 14-year-old, you just lost your mom.
Yeah.
How were you feeling at the time, being 14 and your mom's
Okay,
gone?
so just so that, being autistic, you don't feel emotion. It's just like, you're kind of monofocused. This is the problem, I'm going to solve it. I think I actually only grieved for her 3 years later, when I was about 17. But at 14, it's like, yeah.
You've done quite well then for being diagnosed with autism.
Yeah, yeah.
So you decided you're going to find a cure for cancer.
Yeah.
One of the things that you said struck me is that it's got to be something outside of the box, because if it was inside the box, they would have already found it.
Yeah.
And so then you began to look into energy medicine. You mentioned the mesenchymal matrix.
Yes. So right now, Western medicine is actually caught up with it. They've got some new word for it, but they're actually looking upon it as the next biggest frontier and breakthrough. But I was looking at it by the time I was 25. So that's about 30 years of research in the mesenchymal matrix. And the early energy medicine pioneers like Raymond Rife, they actually were working with the mesenchymal matrix, except they call it something else. So the space around the cells is where all the action is, right? And that's the mesenchymal matrix. So even when you're looking at, say, Chinese medicine and acupuncture, they talk about the meridians running all over the body, but the meridians are actually running within the mesenchymal matrix. So all the traditional, what we call complementary assessment methods, were actually looking at the matrix. They just call them different names. So when you're looking at the acupuncture pulse method, you're actually assessing the mesenchymal matrix from the outside. When you do all the voltage assessments, you're assessing the mesenchymal matrix.
That's interesting. So, because when we were in Taiwan,
Yeah.
almost every one of the doctors mentioned the meridians
Yeah.
and the energy.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is it goes deeper than that. They're
Yeah.
actually looking into the mesenchymal
Primal
matrix.
matrix. So when you look at people who do energy healing, the therapeutic properties of water, faith healing, they're all working on the mesenchymal matrix. And I spoke about that in my book, Art and Science of Vibrational Medicine, that actually looks at the biochemistry, physiology, and physics of energy healing with current established research and technology.
Wow, that's fascinating. So your research into the mesenchymal matrix takes a lot of the esoteric energy healing
And breaks it
out
down.
of the esoteric
Yeah.
and show,
Yeah.
you show the physics
Yeah, and the biochemistry behind it.
underlying.
And it can be explained with the current stuff we have, most of it. There's still about 30% that is not currently explainable with our current models. If you go into quantum entanglement and all of that, you can probably explain it, but you cannot really devise a normal standard setup. But all the other stuff, you could use sophisticated technology and measure it.
So what you're saying is that 70% or so of energy medicine is, you've taken it out. It's
Yeah.
not woo-woo medicine
Yeah, it's
anymore.
not.
It's scientific
It's
now.
scientific.
In Singapore, you can't say cure
Yeah.
about any diseases,
Yeah.
can you?
Yeah.
If you're using a treatment that's outside of the box.
Correct.
Right? Talk a little bit about that in Singapore. You're as a naturopath in
as
Singapore.
a naturopath in Australia, I am legally not allowed to say I can cure anything. In Singapore, as an acupuncturist, we legally cannot say we can cure anything. We can support, enhance, improve.
So I know that you don't treat cancer here.
No,
You don't treat disease at all.
no.
You use markers, you do functional medicine,
Yeah.
so that people can be happier and healthier,
Yes.
right? So, but let's say that what are some of the machines that you use here
Yeah. So we
to
use
make sure?
the heart rate variability to measure your heart parasympathetic and sympathetic. Use your bioimpedance, fat mass, muscle mass, how fast you're aging, and all of that. We have the bioresonance devices that measure you for markers of bacteria, virus, fungus, chemicals, toxicity, whether you're exposed to different chemicals, whether you have a predisposition to a certain type of illnesses, and what you can then do to preempt it. We take a drop of your blood, and it's another way of measuring your internal terrain. So we do dark field microscopy.
Okay.
And then we do the Kirlian assessment. We take your fingertips, gives us an energetic overview of who you are and how you are. Looks at your different energy markers, chakras, energy centers. And we do TCM type assessments, measure your meridians and all of that. And that will give us an assessment of your mesenchymal matrix. And we look at your emotional status. So from your meridian analysis and your heart rate, we know pretty much where your emotional status is.
Talk about some of the markers that you use to help people be proactive.
So in the larger sense, I'm going to keep it simple, then I'm going to expand on it. The simple one is inflammation, markers for inflammation, and markers for deficiency, and markers for fat muscle balance. Because normally when you have cancer, most people who have cancer die of cancer because they lose muscle mass. So if you have a cancer, whatever that is, and you maintain your muscle mass, and you keep your cancer at bay, you're not cured, but you have a long, healthy quality of life.
Okay.
Whereas if you cure the cancer and you lose muscle mass, you have compromised your integrity so much that your reserves, your functional reserves are depleted, and you die because you run out of reserves.
Does that sound familiar? Running out of reserves? That's what happens with most cancer patients. They run out of reserves, and it's not actually the cancer that kills them in the end. They die from cachexia, also known as the wasting syndrome. They are malnourished. Let's have a listen to our good friends Dr. Patrick Quillen and Dr. Bitar discussing this topic in The Quest for the Cures.
40% of cancer patients die of malnutrition, not of the cancer. Cancer is a wasting disease. Appetite is affected. You end up in the hospital with food that you're unfamiliar with. Chemo and radiation can induce cachexia or lean tissue loss. So malnutrition kills 40% of cancer patients. The only therapy for that is proper nutrition.
How many oncologists are addressing malnutrition? No one. In fact, what do? They give people Ensure, which is sugar, and you know that cancer is an obligate glucose metabolizer. It needs sugar to survive. In fact, one of the techniques is to reduce the amount of sugar so that can't feed the cancer. But they're actually giving gasoline to the fire and then expecting to put out the fire. You can't put out a fire with gasoline.
That's a great analogy. You can't put out a fire with gasoline. And when oncologists feed sugar to cancer patients and then feed them foods that make them overly acidic, isn't that exactly what they are doing? Okay, now back to the interview with Dr. Sundardas in Singapore.
Then we look at your pH, acidity and alkalinity.
Okay.
And this is one of the key cancer ideas for prevention, no matter where you go, whether you're looking at Chinese, Western, or even in the early years. And there's enough researchers talking about it. In the medical model, they only look at the blood pH, and when they say your blood pH is compromised, then you're in trouble. But before your blood pH is compromised, the pH of your mouth and your urine is compromised. And after a long time of that, you deplete all your mineral reserves, then your blood pH is compromised. So doesn't it make more sense to change it at that point before your blood pH is actually compromised?
Absolutely.
And yet,
Yeah.
people will argue with you and say, oh, you know what, urine, doesn't matter, wait until your blood pH is compromised. Again, you're back to early warning markers. We look at your heart rate variability, we look at your bioimpedance, which looks at your fat mass, your muscle mass, and then we look at how your nervous system is regulating, because the two independent markers for morbidity and mortality is your heart rate variability and your fat muscle mass. So regardless of what your disease is, if these two are significantly affected, you're heading for trouble, you're heading for dysfunction.
When you mention heart rate variability, what do you mean?
You're looking at a balance between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. There are different instruments that measure that, but really it's your pulse in TCM and others is a good way of assessing it, but when you want to be really technical about it, is whether your heart is regular or too regular is a measure of how healthy you are. So if you're healthy enough, there will be a balance between your sympathetic and your parasympathetic, and your heart rhythm will not be too rigid. If it is too rigid, it's almost like it's mechanical and you're heading towards trouble.
So just briefly describe what's the difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic.
Sympathetic prepares you for activity. Parasympathetic helps you calm down and relax. So in a healthy person, if you are in a normal state, you will normally be in a state of relative balance, and you should be parasympathetically a little more dominant. That means you're healing. The moment you get up and you start moving around, your sympathetic should be in ascendancy, which means you're ready for action. Now, if some people, when they are sitting down and doing nothing, they are in a sympathetic mode, which means they are anticipating trouble, which means that even when they're sitting down, they are in a fight or flight mode. They will never heal. And a lot of people with chronic illnesses, before they actually become sick, they are in that state. So we do this, and in 10 minutes, I can tell you, you know what? You had a childhood issue, you never felt safe, and you're in a chronic anxious state, and this is going to create problems later on. You are in a sympathetic dominant mode. You are producing more of the hormones that are into the fight or flight. In the short term, they are good. In the long term, they literally fry your brain. You start creating biochemical changes in your body that are to do with stress. They fry your brain and your kidneys, and then it affects your immune system, and you start creating immune metabolites that, if you do that long enough, your immune system will start attacking itself.
Autoimmune disease.
Yes. I created a process where we take them back to early childhood. So we do a one-day program. We do a statistically validated questionnaire that brings up the deepest emotional block. And then we take them back in time to when the situation occurs and rewire the nervous system. And normally you see changes in the endocrinological makeup within 21 to 42 days. And these are measurable on the heart rate variability system. The nervous system changes. Other biochemical markers change. I don't want to again hold this out as a cure, but if you have a significant imbalance in your nervous system, and as a result of that, you develop a condition like thyroid or some endocrinological issues or anxiety, then within 21 to 42 days, you will actually see measurable changes in all of them. Either with some kind of testing, blood biochemistry, and what have you.
So again, what you've just done is you've connected a lot of the dots for me, because we've heard if you've got issues with forgiveness, or you've got emotional baggage, or you had a trauma that happened earlier in your life, you have to get rid of that, and then you can heal. What you've just showed is that by doing that within 21 to 42 days, you're actually rewiring the central nervous system. And then so now it's again, it's less esoteric. Now it's scientific.
So
what's happening?
We go back to the mesenchymal matrix stuff that we spoke about, and I said I want to measure what happens on a cellular level. Okay, I want to measure this on a cellular level, and I want to have an idiot-proof system, so anyone can do this assessment and come to a similar conclusion. So if you are looking at the cellular assessment on a biochemical, physiological model, energetically, you can look at the emotional status, structural status, energetic status, and biochemical status. And the optimal test that we do measures all of this within about 40 minutes. So in a simple model, you say you have a headache. Okay? Your headache can be because of a structural issue, in which case you do chiropractic, osteopathic, or physiological. It can be biochemical, you are dehydrated, you drink water. It can be energetic, you're so tired that literally you get a headache, so you go and do some energy techniques, either biocom, bioresonance, and you do a breathing stuff and your head changes. Or it can be emotional. Something came up, you got so wired up by it, you got so angry, you become tense. But when you're tense like that and it's emotional, all the massage in the world will not get it, because the moment you've done the massage, you wire up again. So then we identify the emotional marker, and we get you to a point where you resolve it, the tension eases, the headache stops.
What a great example. That's a very easy to understand analogy about the multitude of causes for a simple headache and how we must address the cause in order to resolve the headache. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Now, Dr. Sundardis is about to describe the dental link to cancer, specifically as it relates to the body's meridians.
We actually look at the dental chart. There are specific teeth related to specific meridians. So the most common meridian is the stomach meridian that's related to a particular tooth. So if that particular tooth is loaded with mercury, or it's a root canal and it sits on the stomach meridian, the woman is likely to develop either breast cancer or ovarian on that side. So every time we have somebody who is potentially an issue with health issues, we do dental screening. So without being dentists, we make sure that we have a whole support of appropriate dentists we can refer people out to. Because if you don't take care of that, nothing else is going to work. Not all the diet, not all the nutrition, and the emotional stuff. So heavy metals, your organic poisons are the heaviest load. Then comes the emotions. The others you can change easily, but these two, if you don't change them, you're not going to get significant changes.
Talk about electromagnetic pollution, EMFs,
Yeah.
and the potential correlation with cancer.
The EMFs are now emerging as the third major issue in the same category as heavy metals, organic poisons, and emotions. Why do we have so many children now in the local cancer clinics in Singapore with brain cancer? Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi brain cancer.
Yeah.
Because that was one of my questions.
Yeah.
Why are so many kids getting
Yeah.
cancers?
Yeah, and then go and look at it. Now, the handphone companies are actually marketing handphone for kids. They've designed special models and modules that only kids can use. So what do you expect? And the density of the brain of the child's skull is thinner than the adults. So they require lower loads of Wi-Fi radiation before something happens. Before you have a critical inflammatory level that will then create cellular changes that will then lead to brain cancer.
So if you want to make sure your kid has a good chance of brain cancer, your small child, give him
a handphone
Give
and
him
give him
a
an iPhone. Handphone, or give him a iPad
wow.
and let him spend 8 hours a day with it.
The IARC, which is an arm of the World Health Organization, in 2011 classified cell phone radiation as a group 2B carcinogen. In other words, it probably causes cancer. Parents, please don't let your kids sleep with their phones. These devices have only been around for a couple of decades, and we are just now learning about how dangerous that cellular radiation is. Let's have a listen to Dr. Lee Erin Keneally discussing this topic from A Global Quest.
I'll tell you an experiment. My daughter, who's 19 now, she was in 8th grade, and we did this experiment in the office because we had thermography in our office. So we took a picture of someone's brain, and took a picture of their brain, or their head rather, first, before cell phone use, and then after 1 minute of cell phone use, after 5 minutes of cell phone use, and after 1 hour, and 4 hours later, the brain was still inflamed after cell phone use.
Wow, there was still inflammation in the brain from cellular radiation exposure 4 hours before. And what about the wireless routers and all the other radiation-producing devices? The good news is that there are whole home devices, like the Key Machine, that can protect your home from radiation and turn it into a safe space. Now, back to the interview with Dr. Sundardas.
So about 200 years ago in naturopathic medicine, they used to say that the process of dying began in the gut. So at that point, when I first started my training, it was a philosophical point. Now we know that there is your gut brain, and that your major immune system, about 70 to 80% of your immune system is located in your gut, and that the food you eat, the drink you take actually interact with your gut. So there are three surfaces that we expose to the world outside. That's your skin, that's your lungs, and that's your intestines. Because whatever you eat from outside goes in.
Yeah.
So that will then affect your immune system. It will affect your hormonal system. It will affect your biochemistry. Now, most people don't know that you have 100 times as much microbes in your gut as the total number of cells in your body.
100 times?
Yes. So they are the most important determinant of your health, of your mood, of your happiness. So if your microbes are in a manageable state, you're fine. If they are having a party, you are not.
So how do we stop them from having a party?
And that's where we go into understanding your particular biochemistry, your physiology. So we have different types of diet. So when we are working with people at different stages, we have correction diet. So you have an yeast overgrowth, we have an anti-candida diet. Then once you've corrected that, we have another diet to help your gut heal. Then we do a maintenance diet, which could be a blood type diet. So we've got over 12 to 15 different diets available, and depending on where you are on the whole scale, we take you through the different ones.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that would then mean at that point, you're eating right for who you are. Okay?
So there's not one diet that works for everyone.
Yeah, that isn't. And this is the whole challenge that I find when I have conversations with people about diets, about nutrition. So some of them will swear about being vegetarian or what have you. And you know what? If being vegetarian is good for you, great. If it's not, eat for your body, not for your belief systems. And I put approximately 10,000 people on different diet programs.
10,000 different diet programs.
Yeah.
And what about the metals?
The metals, you can either do intravenous chelation, which is not legal for us here.
It's not legal.
Not for us.
Okay.
You can only do intravenous chelation if it shows up in the blood, not if it shows up the other way. So we do oral chelation. You can do zeolite. You can do L-glutathione.
Okay.
I'm not so happy with standard chlorella and all of that because it's too slow.
Too slow?
Too slow.
Okay.
Flushes it out too slowly
Okay.
to get good therapeutic results.
Okay.
L-glutathione is also great for organic poisons.
Dr. Sundardas, do you have any unique herbs or vegetables or roots here in Singapore?
Yeah, one of them is called snake grass.
Snake grass.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's available for people who can get them. They make a tea out of it, and that's unique and indigenous to Singapore and Malaysia.
And does it have anti-cancer properties?
They say it has anti-cancer properties. It's however empirical. There hasn't been any formal studies done on it, but people swear by it.
I had some snake fruit this morning.
Okay.
It looks like snake. It looks like snake
Yeah,
egg.
but
that's
snake
not
grass
it.
and snake fruit
Yeah,
are not related.
totally different.
They're
Yeah.
different.
I kind of figured that. But yeah.
The other one that is well documented is soursop.
Soursop.
Now,
I had some soursop juice this morning at our
that
restaurant.
one is anti-cancer.
Okay.
And at one point when it became, there were some newspaper reports about it, you couldn't buy it anywhere for a few weeks.
Off the
Everybody-
shelves. Okay. So they ran an article here in Singapore
Yeah,
about the
about
anti-cancer
soursop.
effects of
Snake grass,
soursop.
they talked about it as, and there are people who actually have farms where they grow it and all of that. Currently, it's not documented yet.
Dr. Sundardas just mentioned snake grass, which is an herb indigenous to Singapore that has anti-cancer effects. After his interview was finished, Ty and the team were able to visit the NTU Community Herb Garden, where they are growing snake grass and many other cancer-fighting herbs. Their host was named Danny Teo, and we really appreciate him taking the time to educate the TTAC team about these herbs.
This one we call it Sabah snake grass.
Snake grass.
Snake grass. Why you call it Sabah snake grass? In the olden days, the aborigines, the Attic people, when they are bitten by poisonous snake, they eat this to actually push out the poison. Okay. So now we use this to push out the cancer poison.
All right.
Everything here is organic.
try this.
So you can just eat. It's nice. Just like it's organic. Yeah. This is very good for lymph node cancer. Lymph node cancer.
Lymph node.
Very
Okay.
strong, yeah. Oh, so we just eat raw is okay, but you can boil it. Come, we take the whole lot. I'll show you another one.
I want one more. Cool. I've never had snake grass.
So it's supposed to push out the poison from your body. The other one we have here, we call this the blackface general because of the color.
What's it called?
This blackface general.
Blackface
Yes. This one is very potent for cancer tumor. You know the guy who has the tumor, he take a lot of this to actually reduce the tumor. So it actually cleans up the chemical in the tumor.
You make it into a tea, or do you eat it?
We normally blend this into a juice in the morning.
Okay.
And then you drink it as a juice in the morning. So
Okay.
instead of drinking water, you drink this as a juice.
Okay.
So for cancer patients, they drink this every morning. So a lot of them, after drinking this for 2-3 months, they went for review. They can see a substantial reduction in the cancer marking. one of my Indonesian friends, his mother is 82 years old. Last year, November, she was diagnosed with final stage lung cancer. She was a very bubbly woman, but after she was diagnosed with that cancer problem, and doctor told she only has 1 month to live. That means she can only survive 2017, that's all. So he called me up and I asked her to take this. And only last month he called me up. He said my mother is still jumping around, she's still okay. And her cancer level has gone now below the safety level within 6 months.
6 months.
Within 6 months.
So they were wrong. She had more than 1 month to live.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Yeah,
she's still
still
alive,
alive.
and she's still running around.
Good.
So we have a lot of these sort of cases. He has lymph node cancer 7 to 8 years ago.
That's the Prime Minister.
Yes. And he went through chemotherapy and all this. Besides that, he take this every day as a compliment. And that's how he recovered. And now his lymph node is totally clear.
What is this?
We call this the dragon plant. It's actually grow on tree.
Dragon plant.
Yeah, we call it dragon plant.
Okay.
This is a Chinese name. So he took this actually.
Wow.
One of the herbs we have over here.
Hope you're learning a lot from our visit here to Singapore. I know it's been fascinating for me thus far. If you've learned a lot thus far, if you've been inspired, if you want to join our movement and support our mission to save lives worldwide, please click the banner below and choose to own the complete DVD set of this documentary miniseries. It's only with your support that we're able to travel across the world, around the world, and get interviews with people like we've gotten thus far, including some of the awesome interviews that we've gotten today in Singapore. So again, remember, a portion of each and every sale gets donated to charities that are doing real cancer research. So please, we're asking you, we need your help. Join the movement, support the mission, save lives. Click the banner below to own the complete DVD series. All right, we're going to get back to some interviews here in Singapore. I think we're about to talk to a farmer here who's running this herb garden where they give herbs away absolutely free to cancer patients here in Singapore. And we did get a chance to meet the farmer who's growing the herbs at the NTU Herb Garden, which is his full-time job. Then he led me and the team on about a 30-minute tour of the property.
This for nose cancer. Yeah. This for breast cancer, 乳宫癌, 子宫癌, and also womb cancer. Cancer of the womb. Just now we have 肺癌. This for stomach cancer and colon cancer. So just now we already taken this.
What's it called?
Polygonum.
Polygonum.
This one we took below. Yeah.
Wow.
It's for the stomach cancer and the colon, intestinal cancer.
I wish my dad would have known about that. He died of stomach cancer.
That's why. In Taiwan, a lot of people use this. They call it the pandan leaf for 肺癌, lung cancer. For lung cancer also. In Taiwan, pandan leaf, P-A-N-D-A-N. Pandan leaf. Yes. It's quite nice.
Pandan leaf.
Yes. It's quite nice. I think you smell, you probably you just.
They wrap it around chicken.
Yes.
Manila, it's pandan chicken.
Yes.
That's
You
what it
take
was.
the taxi in Singapore. They like to put this in the taxi.
Can you eat it?
Because no, don't eat. You have to boil it.
Okay.
The taxi put this in the taxi so that the cockroach and all those insects will not go in the taxi. So they like to put this in the taxi.
Okay.
Pandan leaf. But the Taiwanese use this for actually lung cancer also.
Cool. Pandan leaf.
It's called South African leaf. You can eat it. It's a bit bitter, but it's a very, very potent herb for high blood, high cholesterol, high uric acid, and high sugar content. That means those with diabetes and all this you can take. It's bitter. It's
good
very
though.
bitter. Yeah, but it's very potent.
It
Very
tastes
potent.
healthy.
Yeah. You take this within 2 weeks. You will go for review. You can see the drop in your cholesterol and all this. Yeah. Come. Let's go.
Very bitter.
South African leaf is from South Africa.
Especially in
yeah.
after
This is soursop. It's a fruit. Tropical
Soursop?
Fruit. Soursop, yes. Very high antioxidant, a very good anti-cancer compound inside.
Okay.
Yeah. This is the elephantopas, the one that I say is one of the common herb for cancer. So we plant a little bit here. There are a lot over there because every day we have people taking this, so we plant a lot over there.
Okay.
This is for leukemia,
Leukemia.
cancer of the blood. leukemia.
What is this called?
Leah indica. Just now I think he took a photo of this thing here.
Leah indica.
Yeah.
Huh.
You see the Sabah snake grass we plant in mass
is that
over
snake
here.
grass?
Yes. This one we already cut. So now
Okay.
it's growing up again. Yeah.
All that out there is snake grass.
Yes.
After learning about literally dozens and dozens of cancer-fighting herbs, the tour was finally over. It was one of the most enjoyable times we had on the entire trip through Singapore.
What a fascinating trip through the NTU Herb Garden. Isn't it encouraging to see that they give away cancer-fighting herbs for free to anyone who needs them? What a ministry they have to the needy people of Singapore. Next stop was the office of Dr. Justin Marias, who shared about traditional Chinese medicine herbs and medicinal mushrooms.
Oh, the ones we use, the most important is the Chinese herb linzi. Have you heard of it?
No, what's it called?
Linzi. Linzhi.
What exactly is Lindsay? And I can
It's-
tell, Lindsay, you said Zed. So that's what we used to live in New Zealand and they call ZZ. So that's interesting.
It's a mushroom, it's a kind of Chinese mushroom.
Lindsay mushroom.
Specifically used for fighting cancer. But I found the Germans also believed in that, but they believed in bringing in selenium. They found that after the war, the soil in Germany and all were depleted and everyone was getting cancer. So they did, when they take cancer patients and tested the amount of selenium in the body, was so low. So selenium was very important in Germany. And the next they found were very important is beta carotene. Around 20,000 IU.
Yeah.
For cancer patients, they take 20,000. Prevention, they take 10,000. Yeah. So you combine linzi, selenium, beta carotene, and make the atmosphere negative ion, cancer will run away.
So you made the environment unfriendly
Unfriendly.
for cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now how do you make the environment with negative ions?
There, I got there. That's negative ion.
Right here.
Yeah, that one, the rock, Himalayan rock.
Himalayan rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
With a high voltage, with the frequency of the rock, makes the atmosphere negative ion.
Okay.
That's the one there.
And so is the negative ion so important? Is it due to free radicals?
That's right. Removing all the free radicals. Yeah.
That's an interesting combination. I'd heard about the selenium. I think it was the work of Dr. Gerhard Schrauzer.
That's right.
Was
in
German
Germany,
doctor?
German.
On selenium.
Whatever I do is from Germany.
Most of what you do is Germany. Okay. Tell me about this machine behind you. What is this?
No, this picks up the frequencies. It picks up the frequencies of every organ. And there are 8 points in this that can identify cancer. One is the lymphatic system, the allergy system, and the degeneration system. The Germans don't put the word cancer, they put degeneration system. Okay. I'll show you the points. This is the lymphatic system. Okay?
Okay.
And I must get a reading of 50. Let me check whether the machine working. Yes. 50. So she's clear. That one lymphatic point is clear. The doctor, you better watch this. This is the allergy point, middle finger. It's clear. This is a cancer point. The Germans call this degeneration point. I'll give you a map.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have cleared 3 points. And this is the breast. If I want to see the breast, I'll clear. You saw the 50 there?
Yep.
Yeah. This hand, the lymph system, the allergy system, the degeneration system. So I've seen the 6 points in the upper body that concerns cancer is clear. There are 2 in the leg. It's on the 4th toe, opposite, yeah. 4th toe, it's clear. The other leg, 4th toe. So all the 8 cancer points are clear. So any new patient come, I pick up 1 or 2. I ask them to go and see a Western doctor, do a CAT scan or a MRI to confirm, or I send them to do a cancer marker test.
So do these points have anything to do with acupuncture points?
Yes,
Is it a combination of
yes,
acupuncture with frequency?
It's German acupuncture points, yeah.
German acupuncture points, okay.
I have all the books here.
I see you have a lot of books.
These are the English, American guys who started the whole thing in the 50s.
The Body Electric.
Body
Was
Electric.
that Beck?
Then the English, Davidson.
Okay.
Then the Germans. Then the Indian, Srinivasan, energy medicine. Then the Chinese. Everything is here.
Dr. Morais, thank you so much for sharing with us today. This is fascinating stuff. You're doing great work and we really appreciate it.
Thanks. Thanks. Nice having you around.
Yeah. It was really nice being with Dr. Morais, such a pleasant man with great knowledge. Dr. Morais' daughter is one of his patients, and she underwent his protocol, but she also attributes her recovery to her faith.
Without the faith, without the Lord in my life, I don't think I would have gone through this whole experience. I have my care group, my support from church, fellow Christian ladies. Everyone supported me from the get-go. I was strangely, the hospital I went to had a Christian prayer room where before my first radiation treatment, I had a lady come by and pray for me and my son. So it's been the Lord. For me, it's my faith. Yeah.
Right. So anything else you want to add?
I think it's for me, it's also the spiritual warfare that I had to go through. I went online to find out how to fight. So I would pray against and fight against the cancer cells and declare the blood of Jesus upon the cells, and I think that helped a lot. Yeah. And I think it's the number one thing is to stay positive. I remember very vividly when I was diagnosed. I'm a tutor. I teach creative writing. When I was in class a day after my diagnosis, I was so down in depression, and I just spoke to the Lord and said, I cannot live like this. I really have to change my mindset. And immediately I felt the peace of God come in. And from that day onwards, things turned around. Of course, there are good days, there are bad days, but it's a warfare. And you have to stay positive.
Absolutely. Staying positive is so important. And her faith in the Lord was encouraging. Melanie's interview was a great way to conclude our time there at the Sports Acupuncture Clinic. Remember, you can't treat cancer in Singapore outside of the big 3 treatments.
After Ty and our TTAC team left the office of Dr. Morais, they grabbed some lunch at a local Singapore market. Then they headed over to the Helix Bridge, which is one of the most recognizable landmarks in Singapore, and met up with Jay Lee, who is an expert on the role of calcium ions in the body.
Is excess calcium bad for the mitochondria?
Yes, excess calcium that is stored in the membrane of mitochondria is one of the major source of reactive oxygen species. It makes a lot of free radicals, and it also could damage a DNA or an RNA so that it causes aging and even cancer. By actually putting in small amount of pure calcium ion in your system, it stimulates pituitary gland, and then it stimulates your thyroid and parathyroid to build bone building, to start the bone building process, osteoblast and osteoclast. So to do that, it has to take all the excess calcium back to your bone for rapid rebuilding of your bone, and then it clears your system of excess calcium. If you don't have right concentration of calcium ion intracellularly and extracellularly, because calcium ion serves as second messenger, our cells cannot really communicate properly. All that is happening within cell and outside the cell cannot happen healthy ways. So it's like you're speaking through the microphone. If you have too much and the sound is muffled, It's too far, it's hard to hear, right? When our cells communicate, it uses like AM and FM, frequency modulation and amplitude modulation. And if the communication is pretty good, then everything works fine. But too much or too little, that will actually break down the communication. And you know what happens when communication breaks down, right? Everything breaks down.
It's chaos.
Chaos, that's where cancer happens. A lot of cancer patients also have calcium deficiency, well, not just deficiency per se, but calcium balance is off. Because you could look at a person and say, oh, you're deficient in one area, but you could actually have excess calcium in other parts of the body that causes calcification, and calcification could be the cause of cancer as well. So it's where your calcium is, and by bringing in a small amount of calcium ion that could restart and reset your calcium homeostasis, that could bring in our body's natural healing. More than that, what calcium ion can do for the cancer patients is that calcium is an effective buffer for acid. So when cancer cells produce lactic acid is like a cover for tumor. When the body pH, the microenvironment of tumor goes down to pH 6 to 6.5, it actually turns off immune response. That's how tumor can hide from our immune system. When that lactic acid is effectively neutralized, then the immune system turns back on and it sees the cancer and starts to attack. Another way that calcium ion can help cancer patient is turning the P53 gene back on again. Now, P53 gene in our body is responsible for maintaining the cell, and when the cell is not repairable, then it undergoes programmed cell death, apoptosis. But in most of human cancer cells, either P53 gene is turned off or the process to induce P53 is turned off. Right? There has been many research done already that is calcium ion that can turn the P50 gene back on. So instead of attacking cancer from outside, whether it's radiation, chemo, or immunotherapy, it's attacking cancer from outside, why not bring cancer to the right mind and realize that everything's out of whack and then let it commit suicide?
What Jay Lee just shared is brilliant. Why not utilize substances like calcium ions that can turn back on the P53 gene and induce apoptosis, which is programmed cell death? It makes total sense. After I finished the interview with Jay Lee, we left the Helix Bridge and we traveled to a hotel in Singapore to a cancer conference. Let's hear from a couple of inspiring cancer patients and a cancer coach that were interviewed there.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 32 years old. At the time I was CEO of a radio station in Luxembourg, and I learned to live with it, to have to deal with it, with everything that comes around. And I immediately felt that there was so much more to do than only the classical treatments. And so I got interested in that part of how become healthy and how remain healthy. So I found that there was so much more to investigate and to try. So I started to read a lot about nutrition, about healthy living styles, healthy habits. And then I kind of got back to my normal life. I got back to work a lot, maybe too much. And then we moved here to Singapore, and I had a relapse 2 years after my first cancer diagnostic. And again, I was faced here to other hospitals, other doctors, but there was quite a lot of the same, and a lot of the same was lacking too. So I was looking into guidance in nutrition, in stress, anxiety, what kind of exercise should I do, should I not do, and all of this was just very difficult for me to find. It was just not readily available. So I did my own research, and I started studying to become a health coach. And that really became my passion. So I just wanted to give back everything that I learned and my experience, which is at the end very positive, because I was, for example, told that I would never ever be able to have children, and I was pregnant once and a second time. So it's also this message of hope, and that there's so much you can still do after having had a diagnosis. It's very difficult for somebody else to understand what you go through if you haven't felt it in your body, if you haven't felt it in your mind, the fear and all the effects of all the treatments. And it's sometimes very isolating. So I also wanted to just be able to be there so people could share with somebody that lived through it and luckily survived it. And I think that's a very, very important point in the healing process. Another thing is stress management. It's very, very difficult to heal a body without healing your mind. One of the first things I always say to my cancer patients is, so what do you do for fun? In my first session, and they look at me like, fun, really? Are you kidding me? I don't feel like having fun at all. Did you listen to me? And I say, yes, but that's just so crucial, you know. You still need to have fun in your life. You need to laugh. Laughing, having feelings of joy has been proven to boost your immune system. These are very basic things that we can try to do on an everyday level, but that really makes a difference.
Laughter is definitely a positive energy because it is like, bringing in more oxygen. But at the same time, when people are laughing at themselves or laughing as a group, the group synergy will help to support each other's emotion and bring the motivation to interact and to work harder to recover. Yes, yeah. We also believe in Qigong, which bring in not just perspiring, but also more oxygens for them. Get them out to nature and look at sunshine, because when our mind, body and soul are reunited in nature, we actually feel energized. All of us are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings experiencing human life, not the other way around. So if we fall sick, it is a learning journey. We are experiencing a learning journey. So if we see this crisis as an opportunity to transform ourselves, to learn how to live our life meaningfully, green and healthy, we can actually help to inspire our children and our friends to also do the same.
And Joyce is definitely inspiring the people of Singapore with her nonprofit organization named Kampung Senang. And laughter is certainly good medicine. And it's biblical medicine too.
That evening, while in the office of Dr. Raymond Wen, he shared a unique perspective as well as some innovative natural treatment protocols.
As a Christian, I believe that nature is God's provision is a healing. So we find the healing in the nature. That is something I feel a bit strange. You know, we are created. We are biologically we are all the cells. They need nutrients. Okay, so when a cancer patient suffer, and first thing is they need nutrients. You know, they are not deficiency of chemo. We are deficient of nutrients. So first thing is give them sufficient nutrient, and the body has a system that can heal. This is the immune system we call it. Right? So we cannot do anything to sacrifice our immune system just for the sake of treating anything. You know. So I find that this is important. So no matter what you do, keep your immune system intact. Then you have a good chance to fight cancer, chronic illnesses, even diabetics, hypertension. Yeah. Can be reversed, you know. We are taught, you know, hypertension, diabetics, all these are incurable disease. You have to take medicine for life. But to me, it's a lie, you know. I was taught, I was brainwashed, but I saw my patients getting better and reversed. I'm not treating their diabetic, their hypertension, but somehow when they have cancer, they change their diet. They just change your lifestyle, the blood pressure just drops. I never ask them to stop because they take their hypertension, they got the side effects. So they have to stop. It's their doctor who put them on, ask them to stop. Eventually they're cured. So it happens. One herb I know quite well is artemisinin. Okay, this is the herb, it's Chinese herbs, used to kill malaria. And this medicine, besides anti-malaria, we have anti-cancer property, you know, now it's getting more popular now.
Malaria is a serious disease caused by a parasite that's transmitted by the bite of infected mosquitoes and invades human red blood cells. Artemisinin, which Dr. Wen just mentioned, is an extract isolated from the plant Artemisia annua. also known as sweet wormwood, and it's the most powerful antimalarial on the market due to the fact that it reacts with high levels of iron in the parasite. Cancer cells can also be rich in iron, as they often soak up the mineral to facilitate cellular division. University of Washington researchers found artemisinin to be 1,000 times more specific in killing cancer cells than chemotherapy, sparing normal cells from being destroyed while targeting cancer cells. What other therapies does Dr. Nguyen use?
So I've been using vitamin C to help my cancer patients. Initially, just help them to improve their immune system. But something stranger to me happens. They get better, you know? And then even the cancer strain. Of course, some of they say it's because the chemo drug. Doesn't matter, because the patient feel happy, you know? So I have a cancer you're going to interview, a patient, ovarian cancer. The doctor told her 70% you will relapse next year, it's stage 4. So she was frightened, scared, what to do. So we try vitamin C and maintain. Now it's 5.5 years now, cancer-free, and she's very active.
And we're about to do an interview with that cancer patient right now, folks.
Yeah.
So we're going to cut away to that, and we'll be right back with Dr. Nguyen.
Not with cancer during 2013, which is 5 years time. My diet I change is I don't eat any more meat. I do a lot of juicing, and I do this coffee element. My church friends and my those members in the church help me a lot. They talk to me. They build my confidence, and also I pray a lot to God, and I got to the The high dose vitamin C helped me to have more energy, and then I feel more confidence in my life, and then overall I'm much healthier. Yeah. I've been through for 5 years now. I find that what I'm doing now is helping me a lot. So I still on cancer patient. I'm fully cured. Yeah.
Thank you, Karen, for sharing your testimonial there. Other than Karen, do we have somebody else that we can interview that had stage 4?
Yeah, Stephen Lim.
Is he the one that had?
Yeah, the palate cancer, the one.
Okay,
stage 4.
Let's go to that right now. We've got another interview we want you to see with Stephen that had stage 4
palate cancer. Yeah, the oral. Yeah.
Okay, let's go there now.
I went to see the oncologist, and he did a biopsy on my upper jaw, and the result came out in a couple of weeks' time. I went to see him and told me that not a good news, because the biopsy showed that it is cancer, and he said from the CT and MRI he can see that it has already spread into my bone, especially my upper jaw. So he said I have to go for an operation immediately, and I said okay. He said okay, I already booked the theater for you. I got shocked, that I feel that it's something very serious, because everything was done within 2 weeks, and within 3 weeks I had the operation done. So the doctor said I have to immediately start radiotherapy, and he also prepared me, because he said that due to the location of where they found the cancer, very likely I may have also have to go through a series of chemotherapy. I finally actually rejected the radio and the chemotherapy, and of course this was really upset the oncologists. They were telling me that I don't have an option, but since it's my own decision, they have to respect my decision. In my church there is actually a brother who also suffering cancer, and he came to me and he told me that I would like to recommend you an alternative which a lot of people has seen good result. So he told me, then he introduced me to high dosage vitamin C. That's where I came to know it, and I remember the first day he actually accompanied me to this clinic. So I met Dr. Nguyen, and he briefly explained to me about what vitamin C is about. And anyway, he gave me a lot of material to read and said you can go back and read. And he told me the most important is that you speak to the patient who are doing the treatment. So I came to this room, and there were patients sitting here, and they were doing vitamin C. So I spoke to some of them. I heard lots of amazing stories. So with that, I really gained the confidence, and I told Dr. Yuen, okay, I'm ready, I want to start. Then that's where I started my high dosage vitamin C. I started my surgery. My cancer marker was the CA 19.9, and some other cancer marker was way out, very high. And when I started the high dosage vitamin C, in 28 days, the marker actually went down to normal point where unbelievable, it was so fast. And I continue to, although I have good result, I continue to do the high dosage vitamin C all the way daily to 40 days. Others vitamins like B17, glutathione, and B12, vitamin K, I did it for 40 days. And thereafter I went back to my oncologist. Dr. Yuen told me that I have to go back to them so that they can testify what's my health level. And they wanted me to go through CTs and MRI. So I also did PET scan, and I passed all the tests, and the result all showed that I'm perfectly healthy. In fact, my health after that, every year, get better and better.
Thank you, Stephen, for sharing. So, Dr. Nguyen, I mean, this IVC and your protocols are working, apparently. I mean, we got people alive that shouldn't be alive.
People say this may not be vitamin C because they have done chemo, they have done surgery, they have done all this before. This is just no proof. You need to do a randomized clinical trial on vitamin C. So I tried to apply, but somehow I'm not allowed to do it because I'm in a small clinic here. Right. Okay, no institution support, no guidance, and they think cancer patients are very vulnerable. They are very fragile. They die easily. Actually, my patients are very well, and they cycle, they exercise. And Stephen is a gym instructor now,
That's right, yeah, gym instructor.
Yeah.
So the patients are healthy, happy, but because you don't have randomized clinical trials, which is the same thing they ask for in the US, you can't use it.
How can I give my patient placebo? They come here to treatment. A lot of medical evidence, researchers, to tell me this high-dose vitamin C at least is one of the safest drugs I ever used, Yeah. You say no food, no use. Why not you do a trial in your cancer center? So many cancer patients. I'm open, I'm volunteer to myself to help them to do a trial, Prove me wrong, prove vitamin C cannot use. Prove it is a fake. Prove it's no use. Cheating people. I'll be the first one to stop, Tell them this is wrong. Tell them, prove it. Vitamin C no use. But I have seen many articles. They cannot deny the positive result. Still, they say they need to do more research, more clinical trials. But my patient cannot wait.
Dr. Nguyen's story reminded me of Dr. Brzezinski's interview in The Quest for the Cures Continues. In this next clip, Dr. Brzezinski tells the story of a patient who just couldn't wait for the clinical trials to prove that his anti-neoplaston treatment could help her.
One patient who recovered completely. She was a young woman who was given up at University of California for brainstem glioma, DIPG, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. She failed completely. She came to us. We got rid of her tumor. She's got married. She's got children. Now this year she got the first grandchild, and she's living perfectly normal life. 26 years later, they went after us. Okay, they began to harass us. Okay, obviously, and they wanted to get rid of us. Okay, because obviously after they found that we have something which works, it became a serious threat to Big Pharma. Absolutely. Also, there were clients of the Big Pharma. Okay, why they would introduce the law which would say this is only big pharmaceutical company with unlimited resources is allowed to do it. Okay, obviously it shows whom they serve. They don't serve American people. They serve Big Pharma. Perhaps some investigative reporter can really deal with them and prove the corruption and clear this up, because such thing cannot exist in this type of thing. They are suffocating research. They are working against medical researchers. Because of them, many people are dying. And these are the guys who really should be the guardians what is good in medicine. So I would call it Sovietization of the United States. So they borrowed the idea from Comrade Stalin, how to really restrict freedom of the people. It's not easy to treat these advanced patients because we are continuously being harassed for doing this, okay? Which is incredible. We should be awarded. We should be set up the example. We are saving the lives of people who are sentenced to die. No, we are mercilessly harassed by lawyers, by people who know nothing about treatment, who are stupid puppets of the guys behind who knows very well what we can offer, but are directing these guys like in Nazi Germany, and they are simply obeying orders because they were programmed this way, okay? I think there will be a time when there is some type of Nuremberg trial. So all of these white-collar, nicely dressed lawyers and clerks who are chewing the money of taxpayers, they be held accountable for what they do, because many people died because of their action.
It's so sad. People are dying because agencies like the FDA in the United States and many other similar agencies across the globe will not allow cancer patients their right to choose. Dr. Brzezinski is reversing brain cancer with anti-neoplastons, but he is constantly attacked by the FDA, who claim that anti-neoplastons are not evidence-based medicine. And chemo is?
If you look for evidence-based medicines, chemotherapy shouldn't be used at all. Evidence-based is not so-called effective. You know, a lot of patients die. It's proven, but still used. Okay, so to me, evidence-based medicine and even a lot of chemo drugs, this so-called off-label use. This medicine is supposed for breast cancer, but they try to use it for other lung cancer, liver cancer. It's off-label use. It's very common. More than 50%, 53%, the off-label use medicine. Yeah. Even for our general practice, most doctors will use off-label use drugs, you know. But vitamin C, which is so safe, even you say you use it for nutrition, for improve general health, yeah, they don't allow, you know. So my patient was surprised. One time they asked me, "Doctor, you mean you cannot give me vitamin C here? Outside I can buy anywhere, you know, here. You cannot give me intravenous vitamin." I said, "Cannot, because it's not approved." "But doctor, you can give me morphine, you know. Morphine outside, more than 10 grams, death penalties. You know, outside they cannot buy vitamin C everywhere, but here I cannot prescribe this." He broke his mind. Ridiculous to me. How come you cannot give vitamin C? You can give me morphine. You can give me all the painkiller. You can give me all the so-called cytotoxic drugs, okay, with a license, you know. But vitamin C, this is something so simple. Even because some patients don't even know the chemo drugs name. The recommended daily allowance is 75 grams to 90 grams, 95 grams. You can give the 100 times, okay, even to 1,000 times. 1,000 times after.
No side effects.
Of course, you have to go titrate slowly. No side effects. I have one patient, 87 years old, 75,000 grams, 100 grams safe. Even for kids, you know. 6 years old, I have kids, 6 years old, I go up to 25 grams, 50 grams per day. Still working, you know, still safe. And most importantly, the cancer in control. You can even now take oral vitamin C, liposomal vitamin C. So when you treat cancer, so besides chemotherapy, radiation, so which you still can go, because I never stop my patient from doing the convention. But why not you add on something which can be a supportive, you know? Now it's already proven. It can, as a nutrition support to cancer patient without any major side effect. It can reduce the chemo side effects. And reduce the radiation side effects. You know, a patient get better, improve healing, and then enhance the cancer killing. So why not give it a try? I think eventually I can see more oncologists we use intravenous vitamin C with the nutrition, because cancer patients, they are fighting for life. Then why not give them a chance? You know, so people are dying. This is their wish. Let them do something. They are non-toxic and that can improve the morale. At least they don't depress them. So to me, I think it's to humanity. I mean, a cancer patient die, they want some vitamin, some nutrient. Just give them. You know, they are given a hope by the oncologist already. They send them to die. They want some vitamin. You know, even so when even a prisoner sentenced to death penalty, the last meal, whatever they eat, you can give them, right? So just give them whatever they like. Why are cancer patients deprived of this? This is a basic right, you know. Something simple, you know. To me, they can just have a last wish, you know, vitamin or nutrients. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I feel. Yeah. Western medicine is so-called to me second, because for long-term medication, there are always side effects. Always, you know. But for TCM, for health, for natural supplement, that's why you don't need a license to sell all those, you know. You can buy over the counters. Yeah. Doctor, they don't advise for diet, but I can see a change now in Singapore. Because we have been doing some cancer prevention. We go around talking, and this, I think some of the message go to the doctors already, oncologists already. Now the oncologists tell my patient, yes, you need to control some of the diet, including the sugar. They really understand, because it's embarrassing for doctors to not know how to answer these kind of simple questions. Okay, so now the doctor, oncologists, they are learning from us actually. Most cancer patients is the fear, the hopelessness, the depression. This really kills, you know. If you have a positive thinking, cancer can be a way to change your life. It can be help you to have building a more closer relationship with your family, and share another message to other people. There is life after death, which is in Christ Jesus. So I believe that is good enough. You know, patient die, they are still happy because they one day will meet each other. So that is my message. Always hope, always in Christ. Yeah.
I believe that because one day I'll see my mom and dad again.
Sure. So I think this is our hope. There's a blessed hope there.
It is. Forward. It is. Thank you, Dr. Nguyen.
Thank you for your coming to
your
Singapore.
Yeah. Thanks for opening up your office.
Give me a hug.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
What an encouraging interview with Dr. Nguyen, who shows so much passion and also love for God. Next up was an interview with Dr. Jenti Saputro, who flew in all the way from Jakarta, Indonesia, for the interview.
The protocol that I have is actually teaching people, educate people, emotional healing, supplementation, detox program with the juicing. I do also ozone treatment in my clinic, combined with IV vitamin C and other stuff, you know.
Name some of your treatment or your favorite supplementation or herbs that may be unique to Indonesia.
Yeah, like Indonesia, well known as Spice Island in Indonesia, and like one of those herbs, like I use turmeric, and I know in the United States it's a big hit too. Yeah. I use a lot of turmeric, encourage people with coconut oil, extra virgin coconut oil, because that's what we have in my country. People tend to think like, you know, something like so high, but we forgot the things that we have surround us. Even I teach people to grow their own turmeric, grow their own garlic, grow their own onion, everything. So that's my passion, to like bring people go back to their nature. And turmeric is one of those things, cancer agent, anti-inflammatory things for the body, to detox the body, helping to heavy metal detoxicity. Everything with turmeric is amazing, and I can see a lot of good results for that.
That's great. You know, we just came from Manila, and one of the things that several of the doctors said is they encourage people to grow and eat what's local. What grows in your area is what you should be consuming.
Yeah, it's like papaya leaves. We have a lot of papaya, and then papaya is the most least plant that been affected with pesticide, because a lot of papaya trees around, and impossible for people use pesticide for papaya leaves. So papaya leaves is a dark vegetable. The darker is the better. So I encourage people to eat a lot of dark green vegetable. Like in US we have kale leaves, but in Indonesia we have papaya leaves. Then also cassava. Cassava is the very, very good sources of B17.
Cassava.
So that's all.
That's a root. Root,
Yeah,
cassava root.
Yeah, cassava root.
Yeah, because
exactly.
some of the doctors in Manila, Philippines talked about cassava as well with B17.
We have tons of cassava in Indonesia.
Well, Dr. Genty, thank you so much for joining us. I love your interview today. I'd like to talk to you longer, but I don't want you to miss your plane back to Jakarta.
It's okay.
So
yeah,
thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless,
God bless
your
you
ministry
too.
too.
Thank you.
After they finished the interviews at Dr. Wen's office, everyone went next door to a local restaurant where the team got a chance to try durian, also called stinky fruit. Our big boy, Bryce, didn't flinch when he tasted it. As a matter of fact, everyone seemed to like it, except for Dr. Tony. The final interview that Ty did while in Singapore was with Dr. Michael Tan, who shared some amazing information about how to create a safe home, protected from EMF and radiation.
The first question I had for Dr. Tan was what he felt was the most important aspect to staying healthy.
Most important is we create a battery charger for human being.
A battery charger?
Life force, yeah. So that will be able to increase the ATP or the cell membrane potential.
When you say you've created a battery charger for the human, what does that entail? How do you charge our battery? How do you charge the ATP?
Okay, basically as we know, the body, every night when we sleep, we are depending on Mother Earth electromagnetic field, which is also discovered in 1953 by W.O. Schumann, known as Schumann law 7.83. So 7.83 is the frequency that affects the pineal gland, but at the same time, because of the pulse electromagnetic field, it induces an electric field in the body. So aligning the potential, the positive and negative in the cell outer and inner wall. So once the membrane potential aligned, the charge are aligned, the electricity are released optimally. So then the sodium potassium pump can work effectively. Yes. So using the theory of Faraday law of first law of induction, the Western have created pulse electromagnetic field. The Eastern have created electric field. So what we did was, after years of research, we crossed pulse electromagnetic field and electric field into a single machine. So you technically have a sine wave pulsing into the body.
Wow.
Yes.
What's the machine called?
We call it a chi charger. So it's easy to understand, and that's the one behind you.
What you just shared about the machine, the merger of West with East with the PEMF and the electric field machines, fascinating.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned off camera that I want you to share is that over the last 18 plus years, you've seen that, what was one of the problems that you saw?
Okay, basically in 18 years, I was trying to first start by nursing myself back to health. Because when I retired at 44, I attended a workshop and I got myself measured from a wellness perspective. And I realized that at 45, without any knowledge, I only have about 20% of life force left in my body. As an electrical engineer, I was literally alarmed, and asked myself why. I didn't even know. So like any mobile device, even at 10%, the phone is still working. But interesting is all mobile devices have a battery indicator, but not the human being. So until we reaches 5 to 10%, our body performs perfectly well, and then you have a trip may result in a medical issue like a stroke suddenly. Then I've been asking myself, the entire medical system, while it is the gold standard, is not developed for health management, it's developed for medical care. So the bed that we are sleeping is the only place that we do not move for next 6 to 8 hours, unlike office, unlike anywhere. Nowhere else can hurt us except the bed. So the bed is similar to today, what we call the battery, the phone charging plate. You know, today most of the new phone, you just put a plate, put a phone on it and you charge. So imagine we are the mobile phone. Every night we go to the bed. For 8 hours, the plate uses Mother Earth electromagnetic field, charge our 70 trillion cells. But if this charge is irregular, then we don't get full charge. So you wake up every morning only having a 30% charge, then you have to go out to work. Then what worse is, many spaces have poor Wi-Fi, and you are dependent on Wi-Fi today. So you know when there's a poor Wi-Fi and you have a 30% battery charge, within the next 3 hours your phone is going to go dead. That's what happened to all of us, right? So today, we developed this system known as the 5 fundamental environmental care. Number 1 is protecting the erratic magnetic field of Mother Earth that gives birth to the energy force of the cell. Then the basic is taken care. That's where you need your first breath of air, you need our sunlight, and then you need our water. Then with these 3 in place, then we need our food. Yes. Then the last one is to reduce dirty electric wireless technology from further disturbing the entire endocrinology system. Yes. So these 5 elements, for the first time, January 2nd this year, we finally launched ourselves a project in Malaysia, Cyberjaya, known as Dream Homes. So in Dream Home, the developer decided to engage us to build this whole system into 500 houses as part of the base for, we call it a healthy and harmonious home, beside a green home, beside a smart home. So for the first time, for the last 20 years, you have green home. Now we have smart home. But all this doesn't really change our health, yes, because chronic illnesses is still on the rise, right? So finally, we bring in the healthy home, the harmonious home. All the 4 elements of smart home, green home, healthy home, harmonious home become the living home, right? Mm-hmm. And on top of that, we bring in the entire health monitoring facilities right into each home, doing data collection. So like a ECG or a body composite bioimpedance, we plug a small system like this into every home, right? So every time you go back, you just plug in the 4-point ECG, and within 1.5 minutes, it will collect information on the bioenergetic field and then correlate to chemistry. So over a 1-year cycle, we would have enough information of 500 households, what is happening from a health perspective, not from a medical perspective. Mm. So that way, we can create a lot of baseline and evaluate baseline. And then we have created also a medical concept in the software that help us to crunch the data. So let's say example, type, you do your regular data collection, and after 6 months, suddenly we see your blood viscosity start spiking, and it doesn't come down over a 1-month cycle. The medical concept software will then ring your phone, ring your GP, and ring your wife that Thai need to do a checkup immediately. So that is very advanced warning system, not early detection. This is beyond early detection. Yeah. So this will be built into the 500 home.
Oh, that's amazing. I've never heard of a concept like this. So you're turning the what we call the smart home today, which actually isn't all that smart with all the EMF.
Yes.
Right. You're turning it that you're maybe integrating some of those concepts, but into a home that's healthy, mm-hmm. that protects you from mm-hmm. EMF, yes. that allows you to charge your body.
Yes.
Right. Charge your cells.
Yes.
Charge your battery.
Yes.
And meanwhile, monitoring your health
yes.
way before something happens.
Correct.
That's a unique concept.
Yes,
Is anyone else, are you familiar with anyone else that's doing this?
No. For 10 years, I've been to China, I've been to India, I've been to Russia, I've been to Indonesia, been to Hong Kong. No developer till today is willing to put effort, because to them is, I build a property, I sell a property, that's my job. I don't want to go further than that. I mean, especially Singapore developer, yes. But this developer in Malaysia have been searching for someone who can put this program together also for about 10 years until he met me.
Okay.
Yes.
And so he's working with you. And this is in Malaysia. We're flying to Malaysia this afternoon. Well, I can't believe we are about to leave Singapore. These last couple of days have flown by. From the beginning interview with Dr. Sundardas, who literally scientifically grounded a lot of the esoteric type of concepts that we've learned about thus far, to the last interview with Dr. Michael Tan, who has put together mixed Eastern and Western medicine together with software and his background as an engineer to develop an amazing diagnostic machine that will allow you to recharge your body's battery that he mentioned. It's been amazing information, folks. I really learned a lot. To be honest with you, on the flight over here from Manila a few days ago, I didn't know how this was going to turn out. I didn't know if we were going to get a solid episode, but I have to say, this is rock solid. One of the things that really struck me the most was the tour of the herbal garden at NTSU, the way that they grow all of these hundreds of anti-cancer herbs and they give them to cancer patients for free. It's awesome. We got an awesome trip here. Thank you to Stephanie Loke for coordinating this visit from us, or coordinating this visit for us to Singapore. I'm tired, you can tell, but we're on our way to Malaysia now. So if you've learned something these last few days, if you've been inspired, or if you just feel like donating to a good cause and you love the way that makes you feel, then please consider joining the movement, supporting the mission, clicking the banner below to own the complete DVD series of our documentary here in Asia. Again, your support is what allows us to travel the world interviewing doctors, scientists, and researchers and spreading this information absolutely free, just like we're doing right now. And as always, a portion of each and every sale gets donated to charities that are doing real cancer research. So again, please join the movement, support the mission, help us to save lives.
Yes, thank you so much for your support and for choosing to own either the gold or silver package. We truly appreciate you and your support. Please remember that in Romans 15:13, the Bible says, "May the God of hope fill you with all his joy and peace as you trust him." Please share this with your family, friends, and on social media. I look forward to seeing you next time as Ty and our team continue on our mission to share the truth about cancer during their 7-country tour of Asia. Before we go, we wanted to share a few encouraging quotes from Singapore and a testimonial from an amazing lady named Lee Wai Lan.
Anger, bitterness, unforgiveness is actually suppress our immune system. So when people's immune system are weakened, actually everything can start grow, including cancer.
I always hope, to me, death is not the end of life. The first message I feel, don't fear about that. You must have a religion, okay? So to me, as a believer in Christ, I would tell my patient, okay, death is not the end. There's resurrection, okay, in Christ, okay? So I do have few cancer patients that accept Christ. Because when you overcome death, death will not come to you, okay? There's always hope. Not on waiting, not on the alternative. Because our life, even though it's prolonged for 5 years, 10 years, we still die. So the hope is in Christ, to me. So the message to my patient, that's why I always share, so you do your nutrition, take your supplement, vitamin, even your chemo drugs, okay? But inside no peace, inside struggling, But once a patient, they not fear of death, they have a peace, the inner peace. No one can give you, It is between you and God, And you have this inner peace, you can fight anything.
I always remind myself, okay, eat healthy, exercise, avoid all the food that is not necessary, and always get ready. Because although I'm well now, I'm always prepared that in case I need to fight, I'm ready.
March 2015, I was diagnosed with 4th stage nose cancer, at the spinal area, which of course was devastating. And I went for second opinion, and the news was even worse. The second ENT tell me that even with chemo and radio, I have only 50% chance of survival. And even if I survive, I will be mentally impaired for the rest of my life. So I thought, wow, this is what should I do? Conventional is a no-brainer. Even if I live, I don't want to be 50% mentally impaired. You know what I mean? So it's crazy. So I prayed for 1 week, and after that, I'm very sure. I said, no, I'm not doing conventional. Of course, the doctors are, they keep pressuring you. They say, you'll be dead by 3 months or 6 months. You'll be dead. If you don't do anything. I said, I'm not saying I'm not doing anything. I'm just doing something else. That's all. Because of your book, the 30-day healing for cancer.
The 30-day cancer cure.
Yeah. From that book, it made me read a lot of books. It made me research, about all the alternatives. Because at that time my brother had cancer, so I was researching for him. And by the way, he's healed using the Hallelujah diet. He just went on juicing, Okay. Hallelujah diet.
The Hallelujah diet.
Yes, and now he's 20 over years, he's cancer free.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's because I was reading all this research. Thank you for your book. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so Protocell, then I bought the Protocell. So I tried it. Every month I take my blood test. First month, no change. Second month, no change. Third month, the doctor called me, hey, your cancer marker is negative, better than normal. It's negative. So I said, wow, okay.
And Protocell typically takes about 3 months to kick in.
For 3 months. So this is the latest scan. See, both are black.
Wow, it's gone.
Yeah, and you see here, my left side is all black. There's no more tumor.
No more tumor. Awesome.
Awesome.
So you're cancer free.
Amen.
I gotta run. Actually, I'm gonna walk over there, but we're gonna catch a plane to Malaysia. We'll see you there next episode. God bless.